Hello YouTube, RedAtMath here, and welcome back to Overfall. Welcome back, you may be asking? Well, yes, we actually did a couple of episodes of Overfall back in September of last year, when the game was running a Kickstarter campaign for some funding. They had released a demo at the time showing basically the game as it existed then, and I did a couple of episodes covering it. Now, Overfall is an indie title developed by first-time developer Pera Games, based in Turkey. It had a successful Kickstarter campaign back in September of last year, and the game is going to be in early access on March 1st. But currently there's a closed beta that has started for the Kickstarter backers, of which I was one. Overfall is a turn-based strategy game with some rogue-like-ish elements to it, mostly in the way that it's hard and you're kind of expected to die a lot. But that's okay. I've played about an hour of it so far, died quite a few times, and have been enjoying myself quite a bit. I do want to introduce you guys to kind of the story and overall plot of the game, and there is an opening cinematic that is absolutely gorgeous, but it only plays whenever you launch the game, not when starting a new game, which is probably for the best, as we're going to be starting a lot of new games. With that in mind, I'm going to quickly restart Overfall so that you guys can watch that and get a little bit of an idea of what is going on in this world.
Many destinies are woven from a single thread. A new age began when the brave human army slew the Orcish emperor, ending their age-old reign over the world. Watching the glorious moment from his citadel was the Ever-King, the immortal leader who united the tribes in victory. While the humans celebrated their triumph, the wise Ever-King foresaw a far greater challenge. He summoned to his citadel two heroes and sent them on a voyage into the impossible, through a magical portal beyond which lay another world. For days, the heroes journeyed through the alien landscapes of the world of Thun, a hostile realm inhabited by the Vorn, a race of ruthless warriors. They sought the Disk of Ages, an artifact of great power and mysterious origins. They stole the Disk and made their way back to the portal with an army of Vorn in pursuit. The Vorn will not rest until they retrieve the Disk. The tides are rising. They are coming.
And there we go. So, some mythical heroes stole a disc. The people they stole it from are not too happy about that. And that kind of sets up the starting point for the game. We're going to go ahead and jump into a new game here. And these are going to be those mythical heroes. As it starts out, you're able to pick some starting choices regarding class and skills and weapons and all that kind of stuff. We also have a random name generator. We've started as Pablo and Selena. You can click the little die to just get a new one. Let's go with Pablo and Ivy. Why not? Now, this is where some of that roguelike-ishness comes from. It's a term maybe thrown around a little bit too much today in indie games, but it's a little appropriate here. As you can see, we're a fighter and a cleric to begin with. If I click on the fighter class, I can choose one of 9 starting classes, although I don't have any of the others unlocked. There's a little unlock hint for each of them, such as for the Guardian. In a village on the brink of civil war, a holy protector seeks the help of those who are tough and experienced at resurrecting an ally. So presumably there's a quest line that we could complete that would then unlock the Guardian for us in the future. It's going to be very similar for a lot of the choices here, which weapon our fighter starts with, what skills our fighter has available to them. For instance, the starting 3 got all these other cool things, again with little unlock hints, making your stand even when you're torn apart is how you get a stance. So like maybe completing a battle with a specific criteria, that sort of thing. We've got skills, we've got trinkets to choose from. It does look like maybe in my previous hour I might have unlocked a couple of those, but I'm going to stick with the starting trinkets for now. which primarily give our fighter a fighting chance at healing himself a little bit in combat. The cleric is the same way, with different unlocks for weapons and skills and trinkets, but we don't really have too many of those yet. In this first episode, I just kind of want to show off the various gameplay elements and give kind of an overview of what's going on there. We'll probably end up dying in a fiery death by the time we're done. I'm not quite sure that Overfall is going to find a place in daily content on the channel just yet. It's got about a month of closed beta. The game seems feature complete. There's a little bit of rough edges and some bugginess here and there, but it's totally playable. But I may just be revisiting it as maybe updates happen or changes occur, that sort of thing. Let's go ahead. This is going to be us entering the portal, basically as these famed heroes are returning from stealing the disc. They find themselves just on the other side of it, and I love these little loading screens. There's very little loading screen in the actual game, but this loading screen is different every time, and it's been absolutely gorgeous every time I've seen it. So as we make our way through the portal and back into our home world, we're greeted by this fine fellow. He has the most amazing beard I've ever seen. I'm actually super jealous. I can't believe my eyes. You're them. It's been 3 centuries since you entered that portal, and now you're back. And we get 2 options here because this is not our first time playing. We can either ask him 3 centuries how, or we can, yeah, we've been here before. Let's just skip all this stuff. For the sake of this first video, let's go ahead and find out how this conversation plays out. With his eyes opened wide, the old man explains as much as he can. Gods know, for generations my family waited for your arrival right at this spot, and I am the lucky one to fulfill our family's prophecy now. And now we get 2 options that are a little bit varied. We would always have this, but because of, I believe, our cleric's wisdom, we have this little like yellow option. And sometimes when interacting on quests, you'll have like a yellow choice that gives you some kind of special dialogue or maybe a particular reward. Maybe you can avoid combat when it otherwise would have been the only option. That sort of thing. So she could say, I think there's been an anomaly in time when we entered the portal. So a little timey-wimey ball action going on. It's been 300 years since these 2 went in, and they're certainly looking good if they're 300 years old. So time may have passed a little bit faster back in the land of Dis than it did for them. Maybe you have the wisdom to understand the difference, but not many know that this would happen, except for one wizard. For generations your family watched here just in case we may show up. A mighty wizard, Ezel, gave this quest to my grandfather for the day you will return. The world isn't the same since you left. The Everking is lost. Well, how could the almighty Everking get lost? He continues, the citadel has vanished long ago. No one knows why and how, but Ezel left my family a message to hide and deliver to you for when this day comes. A message? From an old torn parchment in his hands that has descended from his grandparents, the old man reads the message. The path to your king is unveiled only when you're deemed worthy by the races of Dis. The beacons will be unsealed only to the trusted ones. What does it mean? He pauses as his old body that carried the burden of the message starts to get tired. I don't know, heroes. My quest ends here. We only knew the message was too important to let into the wrong hands. I've waited my whole lifetime to hide and deliver the message. All I can do is give you our ship now. Thanks for everything you've done. We better be on our way now. Farewell. Oh, wow. This is actually the first time I've ever seen this. Let's skip this feedback. So maybe that came in a recent update, but I've never encountered a feedback quiz before during the closed beta. That's actually a really interesting idea. All right, so this is the overworld map, and before time is going to continue to crawl forward, so I'm going to go ahead and pause really quickly and just give a brief overview of kind of the UI elements. Up at the top, we've got our party. As you can see, 2 characters here and 2 other spaces for companions to join us along our quest. We don't start with any, but we can recruit them as we're going about our business. And then our other fairly prominent thing is along the left-hand side. We've got 4 different kind of currencies. We've got Frag, the currency of Dis. can be used to upgrade and enhance weapon parts and bazaars. Dust, a magical ingredient, which causes some to become addicted to it. Can be used to upgrade utility skills at guild ships. Can also be used to alter movement speed of the ship for a short period of time by pressing the shift key. This process stacks, yada, yada, yada. That's particularly important as we get chased around and there's some things that we don't want to allow to catch up to us. So the ability to boost our speed, even temporarily, may be critical at the right moment. Runes are sacred stones of the unknown world, and they can be used for resurrection, protection, and to hire companions. I've not yet seen the opportunity to spend runes on hiring anybody, but I have seen if you make it out of combat with only one of your characters alive, you can complete a journey to resurrect one of them using a rune to do so. And finally, food, which is the source of life and can be used to heal party members. After combat, we can spend food to heal ourselves up. Similar to the way Darkest Dungeon works, within combat, we have healing options, but it's rare that you're able to really heal yourself more than the damage you might be taking. So making sure that we have a steady supply of food, trading our frag in order to buy it becomes rather critical. Below that, we're going to see all of the various reputations that we have with the races of Dis: dwarves, elves, orcs, goblins, hollows, and forsaken. Start off with neutral with everybody, but by completing quests, we can hope to improve those relations and gain some assistance from them. And then below that, a sort of doomsday counter. Mysterious invaders started pouring from the portal, and their objective is to build a shipyard. Well, that's what they're doing right now, and as this goes up, these enemies are going to get a little bit more complicated. We just stole an artifact from an evil war-mongering race, and they're not exactly happy about it, and have followed us back through the portal. As we come back into real time, one thing that's kind of cool, time is passing very slowly right now, but like as I move around, it then speeds up again. Before too long, we're going to see some stuff start to emerge behind us, so we do actually want to make a little bit of a fast pace away from our starting location. And I'm thinking, right at the beginning, let's go ahead and try to intercept this elven ship, like so. Ship is crewed by elves who, although stunningly beautiful, seem rather aloof and indifferent to your presence. What is it you wish, stranger? We always get these options to attack their ship, to ask directions to their homeland, which they'll just sort of rebuke as our relationship with the elves is not good enough for them to tell us that yet. We can ask them if they need any help, or we can just bail. We're going to go ahead and ask them if they need any help, and they're going to mark a spot on our map, give us a little quest to aid some elves. We've heard some of our kind might need some help in this island. May the beauty be with you. All right, with that, all right, go ahead and skip. I don't yet want to click like never show me this again because I might actually want to provide feedback to something, but for now we're just going to skip those while we're recording. And we now get a quest marker for the aiding the elves off in this general direction. Let's go ahead and pop over there and see what the fetch quests of Overfall sort of look like. So we can make a landfall on any of these islands we wish, even if we don't have a quest for it. But with one, we get this, and kind of a unique encounter. You come across a camp inhabited by sad-looking elves. Aww. One of them explains that there's a mysterious killer rampaging through the forest. Oh yay, we've just stepped into a Friday the 13th movie. We can either offer our services or take off. It's taken so many of our friends, we don't know what to do. Could you hunt it down and destroy it? Let's go ahead and offer our services here. The elves seem uplifted by your offer of aid. They tell you what they know. All we know is that it has giant feet. And it's covered in hair. It's Bigfoot. It's been shedding all over the place. Okay, well we could stalk the forest in search of it, or because our fighter is all fightery, he can use his skills to track the terrifying beast. So if you had different classes, we might not receive this option, but with the starting fighter we do. So let's go ahead and grab that. Eventually you find the beast, large of foot and hairy of body, a lumberjack. Hello there! How can I help you? You're the terrible beast? The lumberjack chuckles. Beast, why no? Except at the tavern, of course. Tell him the elves believes he's killing their friends. The lumberjack looks indignant. I've never killed an elf in my life. They're probably just being sensitive about their precious trees. I've got to make a living, you know. Okay, we could either leave him to his chopping, we could pay him 4 frag to leave the island, or, because our cleric is particularly clericy, we could try to convince him to leave. Let's go with that. You convince him to leave the island, he prepares to head off. Guess I'll find another island with more relaxed elves then. And as we return to the elvish village, they're delighted to see us. We earn 2 frag and +1 to our elven reputation. You've saved all our friends. We owe you so much. Accept the reward and depart. All right, it's getting a little annoying. So that is like the way that the ship interactions work. By visiting a ship, you can ask for a quest, and it looks like they ran into us that time. It's going to be fairly straightforward and similar every time. The ship is crewed by a group of Forsaken, whose cloudy eyes and mellow tones seem to contain realms of mysteries. Speak, stranger. So if we ask if they need any help, they'll mark a new location. May the sun forgive us all, wanderers. Man, crazy cryptic. All right, and if we sail on, let's just not show the feedback quiz anymore. We get another quest up here. So in addition to visiting the ships, which, you know, they're of the various races of the world, and we can kind of decide, well, we're really looking to improve, you know, our elvish reputation, for instance. We could instead just randomly visit things. So these islands are, like, we're in the human area of the world right now. Well, that's actually a ship I did not intend to run into. Me just sort of sitting here is in the middle of a shipping lane is causing some issues. But like, we're mostly gonna just see humans in this area. Ooh, cool. One thing I really love is the game actually does feel like things are happening that are not dependent on your actions. You're gonna see battles taking place, islands being conquered, you know, nations going to war, all of that, and it doesn't really care that you're on your epic quest to save the world from the invading Vorn. Let's just pop over to, like, one of these grassland islands and see what that sort of has to offer. A distressed cat hollow approaches, holding his tummy. He explains he's eaten a bad fruit and immediately has to go, but can't find any decent sand on the island to use as litter. He asks you to find some. Alright, we could right out of here, as none of our business. We could agree to help him, or because our fighter is such a good tracker, we could tell him of a good soil spot that you've seen on your way here. Awesome, he is grateful. He takes off immediately the location described, leaves us 1 food, and improves our hollow reputation. The hollow are another one of the races. They're sort of the anthropomorphic people of the game. Say farewell and set sail. So we can also do that, where we don't exactly get to choose ahead of time who we might be aiding. You know, this island was inhabited by humans, but we actually gained some hollow reputation by visiting it. And those appear, at least at the start, to be kind of the main gameplay loop. Is you attempt to sort of improve relations with the various races so that you can pursue bigger and better quests with them. Now, in addition to that, there's another thing that I would like to show off here. Oh, so here, for example, all right, these guys with the stripy sails, these are the Vorn. They're sailing to pillage an island. This is what's been emerging from the portal chasing us. And as you can see, they leave destruction in their wake. This forest island is now inhabited by Vorn, but it's very much on fire. Similarly, they've taken over this island, and they're just kind of spewing out of this portal here. You see one of their tiny, cute little ships as it grows and emerges. So they're sort of slowly but surely, like, conquering the area around here, and generally speaking, we want to avoid them. The combat in the game, which I would sort of like to show off. Oh, they just kind of captured another one. I would sort of like to show off in not a fight with the Vorn, but I will probably show you guys one of those towards the end of the video. Let's see if I can't find somebody else and pick a fight somewhere. Anybody want to Anybody want to pick a fight? I feel like the island visiting missions are usually less combat oriented, and usually the ones that the ships give me are a little bit more so. So with the dwarves rather, we'll ask them if they need some help. We'll pick up a dwarven quest, and then we'll sail on. And let's see, we've got 1.8 days and 2.4. Okay, let's go ahead and head towards the dwarven quests. They're usually pretty close by. You also see our doomsday counter over there is starting to increase. Alright, you hear that this island is famous for its beverage called the ash beer, but things are not going well for the distillery. Oh, those thieves again. What are we going to do if we can't sell the ash beer? You look troubled. The dwarves explain. The bandits, they're addicted to our beverage, just like anybody else. They keep raiding our storage and stealing our supplies. Alright, good luck with that, but we're out. Let's go ahead and retrieve their stolen goods. If you do us this favor, we will make sure to compensate you, and we'll hunt down these thieves. Lovely. You reach to a camp. After a long while of searching, where you can see the thieves and the stolen ash beer boxes ahead. You want to mention, of course, the game isn't even in early access yet. There's some weird turn of phrases and even a couple of spelling mistakes that I've encountered, kind of to be expected. Just look at all these boxes. Can't believe we did it. Ha! All right, and retrieve the ash beer. Now, one cool thing here is we do have this little dwarven buddy. He is most likely going to be NPC controlled for this fight, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. Now, the combat system. I actually really like the combat system. It's got some kind of unique things going on here that I feel like are really innovative. It's also pretty in-depth as far as the systems at play, and I sort of feel like I'm not entirely grasping everything that's going on, and we'll see a little bit of that as this plays out. But to start out with the basics, there are three phases to each of your character's actions, and the character's actions can be seen up here in a turn order. So this is the way that we're going to go through here. Pablo is the fastest in going first. We're going to get 3 enemy turns, the NPC on our side, then our cleric, and then another one of the bandits, and then it starts over, and we loop back through this over and over again. So within Pablo's turn, our lovely fighter here, he starts out with his movement phase, and he's got 2 different abilities. One just moves the character. He can walk around. It's pretty basic. He can always use it. Or he can use Heroic Leap. It has a cooldown of 2 turns, but you'll see it can move him further, and it doubles as a small attack. It deals 2 damage to target foes where he lands. Now, we're not going to start with that because we couldn't actually land on any enemies, but we'll just move up a little bit. And Pablo's going to have a pretty uninteresting turn here, just due to the fact that he's so far away and doesn't have any ranged attacks. But after his movement phase, he's going to move into a utility phase, where he can do some utility stuff, basically. The options that the fighter has, he can remove a buff and apply the vulnerable debuff to an enemy. He can apply Vigor to himself and remove 2 negative debuffs that he has. Or he can apply the Disarm and Immobilize debuff. This is where I say I'm not 100% sure that I'm fully, grokking all of the systems yet. There are a ton of debuffs in this game, and I don't always recognize all of them, and I end up reading a lot of tooltips, and it's all just a lot of information overload coming my way. But I feel like there's a lot of depth there, and once I kind of start to peel back that onion, it's going to be a very interesting combat system. So to start out with, since I don't have any enemies nearby, applying Vigor to myself seems to make the most sense. Vigor will then protect me from bleeding, trauma, poison, burning, agony, tormented, bone pour. Like I said, there's a lot of negative debuffs that can go around. So Vigor is going to protect me from all of those. Then we enter the main attack phase. Without any ranged attacks on my handy-dandy axe here, we're just going to end up passing this turn. But we'll see that again likely next round. It then turns to the enemy. I imagine the Adept is going to have some ranged attacks he can use. Yeah, he actually chooses to assault our back line. But hopefully these guys just sort of end up moving and wasting a little bit of their turn. All right, the initiate Initiate has some negative attacks. Oh no, I've been immobilized. I don't like that at all. Okay, our NPC friend is certainly very helpful. Alright, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and get our cleric up here as well so that she can be positioned to heal us. And, so this would be really bad. The immobilized would mean that he skips his movement phase next turn. And if I can't close with these guys, I can't do anything here. Also, chilled is having his critical rate. This is where I'm like, immobilized I recognize now. I've seen it enough times. I don't yet quite recognize the symbol for it when I see it, but I immediately know what it does by name. Chilled, I didn't really remember. I may not have ever seen it before. But having our critical hit rate isn't really all that awful. We want to get rid of this, and conveniently our cleric is poised to do so. With Dispel, she can remove a debuff or enemy buffs at a range of up to 4. Her other options would be a Numbing Light, which would apply regeneration, also very good, or Scream, which can apply fear in a radius right around her, which is more of a defensive ability to kind of scare enemy units that have closed with her away. We're going to go ahead and Dispel so that he doesn't have immobilized whenever his next turn comes up. And then for her combat actions, I'm actually going to go with Holy Nova. It'll be a little bit wasted because I don't have any enemies around me, but it has the side effect of also healing for 2 any friendly units that were nearby. And I want to keep this guy alive because I'd like to see him make it through this fight. Alright, and now, because our movement phase is still going to happen, I can show off Heroic Leap. And it allows him to get right into the action, doing damage to some nearby enemies here. Now, let's think about this. Disarm and immobilize, or nobody has any buffs. So let's disarm and immobilize removes the movement and the attack phase from an enemy, or like the main combat phase. So let's do that on somebody that we're not gonna try to kill immediately anyway. I'll go ahead and take the adept out of the fight a little bit. And then this guy is already bleeding, which is awesome. On my attack phase, I really like to use these in order because Chop applies bleeding, Cleave applies mortal wounds to targets with bleeding, and Execute then does bonus damage if the unit is already at less than 50% HP. He's not at less than 50%, but our little helper friend here has already applied bleeding to him. So let's go with Cleave. Yes, and that got him down. Awesome. That was a very productive action out of our fighter. Okay, I don't entirely know what that did. Oh, we charmed him. Is that... Can't target the caster. Okay, but then he got it off of himself. Fair enough. Faithful Pull is her other movement ability. Kind of interesting. It's only in straight lines, but it can pull a friendly unit back to you. Also heals them a little bit and applies a protection buff so that they take reduced damage. Can be really cool to kind of yank a friendly unit over to you and kind of save them from the line of fire. We are not going to need that right now, though. So let's get up close and personal with this adept here, and I'm going to apply the regeneration and Aegis buffs to him. Increased evasion for 2 turns, and he's going to gain back some HP over the next couple of rounds. And then, with Wave of Light, I can do a little kind of conal attack, dealing 3 damage. Can't apply Agony, can't apply Blind. We'll see how that goes. Well, neither of the debuffs on there, but a little bit of damage never hurt anybody. Except, by definition, the person you're hurting with it. Okay. Let's get right here. Take off the buff from him, or at least one of them. So it's Desperation. It gains increased effectiveness from heal skills targeted at him. But hopefully, nobody's going to be healing him. as Execute was able to dispatch that guy. So I think the tide has clearly turned here. Ooh, that's maybe a little scary. With Ivy acting next, we can definitely heal him up a bit, though. So I think that's going to be fine. Let's get right next to you, and then remove your other buff and kill you. Ivy was actually unable to do any healing that turn, so he needs to survive this attack. Okay, did not take 6 damage. Awesome. Now, let's incapacitate you for next turn. Oh, or not. Enrage cannot be affected by crippled, immobilized. Yep, that seems like a thing. Okay. I'd say things just got a little bit more dangerous for us. But we're all going to act before him. Yeah, he is done for. Awesome. Successfully returned the boxes back to the dwarves. We gained 4 food. Pablo gained Rigorous. We'll talk about that in just a second. And we gained +1 dwarf reputation. Thank you, heroes. Now we can keep our business running. The famous ash beer is alive thanks to you. Let's toast. And we can get out of here. Now, from that combat, one of the cool systems in play here is that our characters grow and change in sort of unique ways. Now, this isn't the most interesting of all of the abilities. Pablo gained Rigorous, which just increases his accuracy stat by 5, so it's just a very flat bonus. Focus is essential gym and a rough combat, and this hero is obviously all about it. But some of the other abilities are like really unique and kind of interesting from a flavor perspective. One time after combat, I gained the Cocky ability, which gave me increased accuracy, but also reduced my evasion as long as my character was at max HP, which I thought was like a really interesting idea that at the start of combat, until he had been hit, he was sort of cocky and he didn't evade very well, but he was a little bit more confident and was therefore more accurate with his attacks. And I thought that was really cool. And I've seen several abilities that are like that, with a little bit more flavor than just a flat accuracy increase. All right, so that shows a successful combat. And then the idea that our characters are hurt, we want to use a little bit of food for them. And there's a use food and then a use enough food to fully heal you button. Very convenient. It's on a 2-to-1 ratio. The button is a little wonky sometimes, apparently. Oh, come now. It registers when I'm hovering over. Oh, I see. It doesn't register when the stats page is down. Okay, that makes sense. And we'll keep Ivy at 25 at 26. All right. Now, one final thing I just want to show off is I've talked a little bit about, there's a cool pirate ship chasing down the orcs there to attack them. Again, I like the vibrancy of the world, and it really does kind of feel alive. There's also these like race specific ships, right? Like the pirates, for example. This just boat, like a merchant ship searching for customers. Those kind of things are making their way in the world today, in addition to the various races. And all right, so I do want to show off the terrifying Vorn that we've been talking about, and why it's important that we are afraid of them. These guys are maybe not super scary to look at. Well, depending on, I guess, on your idea of super scary. I mean, we are in a mythical world with like cat people and crazy undead hollowed-eyed things. But, good old-fashioned Vikings are still quite terrifying. Vorn's ship spots you. Try to outmaneuver them, but they're too quick and you are boarded. The only thing we can do in this scenario is protect our ship at all costs. Now, there's 3 of them. There's 2 of us. What could possibly go wrong? A lot of things could possibly go wrong. Let's go ahead and try this combat. I have never actually beaten the Vorn anytime I've run into them, which is saying a lot. We'll go ahead and start with kind of the standard affair. We're moving up a little bit. We're going to apply vigor. We'll have to skip our first attack phase. These guys should then be closing with us. Okay. He screamed a bit. Oh, he caused us to be fearful. I don't like that even a little. Fear is going to take my movement phase phase from me and cause me to run like a scared little girl away from the guy that made me fearful. So, with that in mind, I'm actually going to get Ivy back a bit because well, can I just remove the fear? I can totally just remove the fear. That worked out pretty well. Okay, well, in that case, I kind of wish I hadn't moved Ivy away. All right, let's, again, let's try getting in there. We'll heroic leap in. And then, let me say we immobilize you. And then focus on you. Yeah, that could have done better damage. Wow. His utility skill applied Confusion, Bone Pour, and Chilled. And then we just got crippled. Oh, and then we just got traumaed. Alright. This is going poorly. That's a lot of negative things, right? Specifically, Trauma and Bone Pour, which are fairly similar. Or at least are fairly similar because of what they're going to do to us. Trauma is going to deal 1 damage every turn for 3 turns. So it's just damage over time. We're going to take 3 damage from it. Bone Pour deals 1 damage for each skill you use. Ow. So we can choose to just pass in order to get rid of it, but we're probably not going to want to do that, and that's a little unfortunate. Not really the range for that. Let's just get some helpful things to heal him up, and then we'll drop some bombs on this guy. Okay. We're going to have to skip movement. Our utility phase is locked, and he is at less than half health, so we'll take 1 damage from Bone Pour in order to do 7 damage to somebody else. That seems worthwhile. Oh, Confusion. That's... and Fear came back. These guys are masters of all of the negative debuffy things that are going on to me. And that is quite unfortunate. Okay. We just need to do the smallest bit of damage to this guy. So let me get up here, try to remove 2 debuffs. With so many debuffs, I don't even know which ones I would prefer to go away. But the Nova can kill him and heal that guy a little bit, but then he sort of bounced out of this round. That's Fear for you. Leaving Ivy, of course, in the thick of things. Jeez. So many... Okay, Mortal Wounds reduces healing effectiveness. Confusion causes her to skip her utility phase. Bone Pour, Chilled. Yep. That's the stuff. Alright. Let's actually move to, like, here. Our utility phase got skipped. We'll drop some more knowledge bombs in the form of a hammer. And then leap back in there. Applies Vigor and removes a debuff. And then chop. Fortunately, our HP is not looking super solid on Pablo right now. Down to 5. I'd say this is questionable. Oh, wow. Crazy whirly blade. Yep, that happened. Okay, so the first of many characters have died. That's unfortunate. We don't have our ranged ability. So I'm actually going to get right in here. Double speed, stacking by round. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that I could apply Fear. It's actually Radius. Nice. And then we can Wave of Light on both of them. Also nice. And these guys are going to run away from us. Now, I can try to strategize my way out of this, but we're in quite a predicament. A single cleric is probably no match for these 2 guys. Okay, increases damage by +1. Unfortunate. Let's get over to here. And then we'll apply our healing to ourself. And then we do 4 and a chance for Confusion. Or let's do 3 and heal ourselves for 2. Okay, good miss. And Agony is doing a little bit of damage to this guy over time. Okay, and he does have ranged abilities. Just skip this. We could Dispel to take a couple debuffs off him. And He's got 11 HP. Yeesh. All right, I'm going to Wave of Light here. Deals 4. Good. Down to 6. Ugh, that's a lot of negative things. And we're going to be skipping our utility phase next turn. And we're going to be bleeding and bone pouring. Okay, skip movement. I would have loved to have been able to use fear there. But I got 4 and did get the confusion on him. Oh, this is so close to being possible. But oh, good miss. Okay, so we're easily going to be able to kill him. This would be an excellent time to have a character that could do just the tiniest bit of damage during your utility phase. Unfortunately, that is not our cleric. Should be able to heal herself and kill him. He's got more HP than we do, and he's... Well, no, he didn't when I said that. But he's a lot more combat focused than we are. So let's try... This prevents crippled, immobilized, fear, charm. Okay. Let's dispel him then, since we can't use fear on him. Yeah, that's not amazing. Go with the 4 damage. 6 versus 7 HP. He's run away from us and then hit us in the face with an axe. Okay. We took 1 from bleeding and healed 1 from our own regeneration. I'm not going to have Retribution due to a cooldown. I'm going to have Wave of Light. So let's move to here. Apply Regeneration to ourselves. And then Wave of Light at this guy. Fortunately, that's not enough to kill him. So it comes down to whether or not he kills us this turn. Fingers crossed. Man, I should have crossed some toes, man. Alright. And that is how it has gone for several playthroughs in a row. As you can see, the world turns and turns and returns to where it had begun. But something is different this time. And we get a final score. So, this would be, I assume, where, like, I think I've seen in previous run-throughs that it would tell you the unlocks that you may have earned here. I don't think we really got anything this time. Relatively short run overall. Again, I just sort of wanted to show, you know, what it looks like to do a quest for one of the nations explicitly by flagging down one of those ships. What it seems like to just kind of randomly visit an island, and what it means to actually run into the Vorn. I see how they could be defeatable, but you can't just kind of nonchalantly ignore their presence. Even if we had won this, they would have taken a ton of our supplies just out of healing everybody, resurrecting Pablo, etc., etc. Rip Pablo. I'm sorry. We'll go ahead and pop back to our main menu for now. Of course, from back here, we've got the option to start a new game again. Had we not died a terrible death, of course, there is a save state. There does not appear to be like any kind of multiple save states right now. There's just a continue and a new game button. So I don't know if that'll be implemented later. It would be nice so that maybe you could have some different adventures going in different directions. But yeah, all in all, I'm really excited about the future of Overfall. I see a lot of potential out of the game. I have only been playing for a few hours, but the number of quests and the variants is just staggering. They have a really unique sense of humor that I often find really amusing. I mean, we helped a cat person go to the bathroom today. So, yeah, didn't think that was going to be a thing when I woke up this morning. And stuff like that keeps me really well entertained, even during what otherwise might be a lot of reading and uninteresting fetch quests or anything like that. They've done a really good job of keeping it interesting and keeping it engaging. And I think the combat system had a lot of complexity. I'm a huge fan of turn-based RPGs, especially the tactical, like hex-based combat system. Really enjoying the 3-phase combat round. I think is really unique and a cool take on everything. So I'm really excited to see sort of where Overfall goes. If you're interested in seeing where it goes, I would ask you to let me know. I'll probably make more videos on this regardless, but it'll certainly influence how many and how often they come. If you did enjoy this episode, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more videos every day. Leave a like or a comment if you have anything to say about this or any of my other videos, and I will catch you guys next time.